capital of the world. And they told me not to say 5 cents. It was a horrible faux pas, but nickel rings off the tongue a hell of a lot better. And obviously, this is an amazing area. You just guys came back from a conference on the mining sector, but it is important to remind people how it drives the Canadian economy, several parts of the world's economy, and employs, I think, over 5,400 people in this in the greater Sudbury area. I mean, Paul, you can correct me, but des communautés comme Sudbury sont vraiment l'épine dorsale de notre pays, fournissent une grande partie de la nourriture, de l'eau, l'énergie dont les Canadiens ont besoin. Des communautés comme ça soutiennent des industries qui contribuent à la prospérité de notre pays. Toutes ces communautés qui sont semblables emploient presque 2,6 millions de Canadiens et produisent à peu près 25% du PIB, les communautés rurales. Alors, il faut non seulement le reconnaître, mais il faut être reconnaissant. It is, however, the fact that remote and northern communities face unique challenges in response to Canada's aging population, the labor market shortages, and as such, it's critical for these communities to attract the skilled workers that you need, such as healthcare professionals, workers, construction workers, people here. 20% of your workforce is not nothing, Jeff, and I think it's important to make sure those people feel validated, welcome, as they become Canadians and as fellow Canadians welcome them. They're supporting our economies, paying taxes, making sure we're the country that we expect ourselves to live up to be. C'est évidemment la raison pour laquelle on s'engage à relever ces défis comme gouvernement, à trouver des travailleurs qualifiés dont les économies ont besoin pour prospérer. En 2019, Immigration, Réfugiés, Citoyenneté de Canada, le ministère que je gère, a lancé un programme pilote qui visait à stimuler la vitalité économique et démographique des petites communautés. The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot aims to achieve this goal through immigration, but specifically by creating a pathway to permanent residence to attract and retain skilled foreign workers in this region, so you're not leaving people in limbo. The pilot has two main objectives, obviously to stimulate economic development in smaller rural communities and help them keep newcomers that they attract. And we know that there is retention challenges, whether you're an immigrant or not. There is the lure of larger urban centers. We were just talking about that before. Through the pilot, it's important to highlight its success, and it's really thanks to you. We've partnered directly with 11 communities across Northern Ontario in Western Canada, including Sudbury. Chaque communauté participante a identifié ses besoins en main-d'œuvre par l'intermédiaire de son organisation locale de développement économique et nous a indiqué les domaines dans lesquels elles avaient le plus besoin de travailleurs. Les candidats qualifiés pour occuper ces postes et qui voulaient vivre dans l'une de ces 11 communautés pouvaient alors utiliser le programme pour obtenir la résidence permanente. Ce programme était la recette du succès pour les nouveaux arrivants, un emploi, une communauté accueillante et des services pour les aider à s'installer dans leur nouveau foyer au Canada, on pense que c'est facile, ça ne l'est pas nécessairement. As of the end of January, 5,158 newcomers became permanent resident through this pathway, and roughly 87% of those who were surveyed and responded were still in these communities as of October of 2022, which is really big if I look at the national statistics. And you're clapping for yourselves, really, because it's you guys that have done it, and that agency. You know, the story of the big federal government deciding who comes into the country and then people that come here take a generation to figure out. That isn't how it should be. It's often been the case too often, and this is an example of how the agency that you take and take responsibility for those people is very important as part of the integration process, because obviously we can't do it alone. And those odds that I mentioned, 87%, they actually defy sort of the it's lack of a better word, the depopulation odds in rural communities in a lot of ways. So these people, they're not only here, they love it and they want to stay and they want to contribute to build it. So this addresses the labor shortages in healthcare, manufacturing, retail accommodation and food services, as well as scientific and technical services. So last month, due to the ongoing interest and the advocacy of many parts of the country, my department extended the pilot's community recommendation period that was set to expire on February 29th. It made a lot of sense. We also increased the number of candidates that communities can recommend, which is key. These measures will allow participating communities to take part in the pilot for a longer period and help fill the labor needs with skilled candidates. J'ai le plaisir d'annoncer que le Canada s'appuie sur cette réussite pour soutenir davantage les petites et les moyennes communautés. And given the successes of what we call RNIP, the Royal Northern Indigenous, no, I'm talking about I said it this morning in the immigration pilot, and the critical role that it has to play in ensuring the growth of local northern economies. Given that interest, given the advocacy, I'm here to confirm that IRCC will make this program permanent. You guys are still clapping for yourselves, but I'll take it. It'll help ensure that Sudbury and communities like yours will be able to benefit from this program for the years to come. I must say that the work we still need to finalize it. There's some elements of this program that will take a few more months to make permanent. So part of the announcement today is announcing a new pilot, which is essentially RNIP. Just because this is a very nerdy part of the press conference, but because of my statutory powers, I can only do a pilot for 5 years, and so we're doing a new one that reproduces this and actually expands it to more communities while we make it permanent. And I think there's some elements as we refine what we've learned from the pilot that we need to fix with host communities, with the role of the federal government. We want to make sure that the need, the desire, attaches with it some responsibility, and I think these are larger conversations that have to do with provinces and have to do with the importance of every community that says they want people to make sure that there's a responsibility that comes with it, whether you're talking about a university or a province or a city or a smaller town. It's part of the responsibility we all have as Canadians to make sure that we're all doing our jobs properly. So this is really something that technically it'll be launched this fall, and that'll be called the Rural Immigration Pilot, and the Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, which is why my speech is so long today, because we're actually launching 2 pilots today. I sound like a salesman, 2 for the price of 1. But this is actually a really important component because it has the capacity of doubling the number of people that come to this community, especially if they're speaking French and want to be part of those communities. The Rural Community Immigration Pilot will continue the important work to retain the talented foreign workers that you all know contributed to Sudbury. The new pilot is tailored to help us achieve greater alignment as to what I was speaking about just a few seconds ago. En consultation avec les communautés francophones, le programme pilote d'immigration dans les communautés francophones appuiera la vitalité des communautés francophones en situation minoritaire hors Québec, un mandat très important pour mon ministère et notre gouvernement. En aidant ces communautés à attirer et à retenir des nouveaux arrivants d'expression française grâce à l'immigration économique régionale, le programme pilote s'aligne sur la nouvelle politique en matière d'immigration francophone de mon ministère que j'ai lancé il y a une couple de semaines. De nouvelles communautés francophones s'ajouteront aux programmes d'immigration régionaux dans lesquels les employeurs et les communautés joueront un rôle important dans la sélection de nouveaux arrivants pour leur région. Nous continuerons évidemment à travailler en consultation avec tous les partenaires pour rétablir et même augmenter le poids démographique des francophones de notre pays. This spring, we'll open the applications process for communities interested in participating in either pilot, and will then select the communities who will take part in these new pilots. Le nombre définitif de communautés qui participent à ce sera déterminé après un processus de demande, mais nous prévoyons plus de communautés que nous avions pour le programme pilote d'immigration dans les régions rurales du Nord. De plus, les communautés qui participent au programme pilote d'immigration dans les communautés francophones joueront un rôle actif dans l'attraction, la sélection et la rétention des nouveaux arrivants francophones et évidemment même bilingues. As we make the rural and northern immigration pilot permanent, communities who took place in RNIP will have the opportunity to reapply to one of these pilots, and no reason to believe they won't be the successful candidates. Everyone just has to go through the process. But I'm confident that this new pilot, an enhanced version, will be one that will be able to meet the labor needs and grow communities. Today's announcement is a step towards establishing more permanent support for economic migration to rural and remote communities across Canada, which is it's critical to your long-term economic prosperity. At its core, this is about ensuring that rural and remote communities have the talented, skilled workers that they need to help grow their economies. Alors que nous continuons de poursuivre nos efforts de relever les défis nationaux qui sont liés au vieillissement de la population et aux pénuries de main-d'œuvre, les programmes d'immigration régionaux comme celui-ci produisent d'excellents résultats et jouent un rôle essentiel pour assurer la prospérité économique du pays à long terme. Cela est évident lorsque nous témoignons l'histoire de la réussite ici ou de Carrière Industrial Supply, un fournisseur de fabriquement d'équipements miniers fondé ici à Sudbury en 1964, alors que leur entreprise continuait de croître. Celle-ci, comme beaucoup d'autres, s'est trouvée confrontée à une pénurie de travailleurs qualifiés pour répondre à ses besoins de production. And after multiple attempts to recruit experienced local tradespeople, this family-owned welding shop opted to look abroad. And since hiring senior welders from Mexico, Carrier Industrial Supply has now grown exponentially, broken into new markets, and developed even better products. And as the skilled workers who have arrived work in places like Carrier and others, they're excited to land here, welcoming communities where they can build a life that is full and complete for their families. And really look forward to visiting more communities, and I will be in Sault Ste. Marie tomorrow to see the work that they're doing. Hope that's not a rival statement, but you know, there's work to be done around the country, and as we expand these programs, provide agencies to your communities, making sure that the federal government is doing its role and making sure that you have the tools you need, and also the people, particularly in communities that have strong French-speaking communities. This is something I think we can all be proud of, and with this announcement today, we have the potential of doubling the number of people that you'll be able to welcome according to the parameters of the program. So congratulations to everyone. Je vous félicite infiniment. Et merci. I think Viviane or Paul.